Linda P. Jones here. Today we're going to review an article in the FinTech Times. This looks very interesting. The headline is, Ripple talks Dubai expansion, the future of cross-border payments and financial inclusion. And it was written on May 11th by Tom Bleach. It says, Ripple, the enterprise crypto and blockchain solution provider, is expanding its presence in Dubai by opening a new office location in the Dubai International Financial Center, citing the region's innovation-forward regulations, expansive network, and growing reputation as a leading global financial center. Now, we knew that they were expanding into Dubai, and of course, Brad Garlinghouse has been there since Monday at this particular conference. But I thought this was very interesting because one of their executives is Naveen Gupta, and he's talking about why they're expanding into Dubai. So this is what I found very interesting and wanted to share with you. It says, to find out more about the future plans and aspirations of Ripple, the FinTech Times spoke to its managing director in Mena, Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia, Naveen Gupta, about expansion in the region, cross-border payments, and financial inclusion. Ripple has long focused on serving customers around the world, with over 90% of its business coming from outside the U.S. The MENA region has become a key market for the company, with it revealing that around 20% of all RippleNet customers, such as SABB, Qatar National Bank, Lulu Financial Holdings, Al Ansari Exchange, and RAK Bank are based there. Naveen Gupta explained exactly why the Middle East represents a unique opportunity for Ripple to move into. For the whole remittance market, we realized that there is no place like the Middle East as a region. For example, it has multiple times more remittances being set up than the United States. So for us, it makes sense. Secondly, we found it was very progressive in terms of regulation, even when the regulations weren't in place. We approached the authorities, who explained we could go ahead and they would work hand in hand with us to put the regulations in place. So we found a lot of openness with a very large commercial opportunity, so it was very natural for us to put our roots there. Now, Naveen Gupta is managing director of MENA and South Asia at Ripple. There's his photo. Ripple is testing its ideas in Dubai thanks to forward-thinking regulation. Gupta further explained how the regulators in Dubai are fostering innovation in and around the region. Firstly, we are here in Dubai for expansion, but we are also looking to bring some of our early products here as well. We are an American company. Lots of early innovations happened in the US, but I think everything will start moving in a more decentralized way around the world. In the UAE, there are a lot of market leaders, and one of the reasons for that is the progressive regulation there. So I just want to pause and say, notice all of the focus on regulation. Notice how Dubai is much more willing to work with Ripple as a company rather than stopping Ripple as a company. They are trying to work hand in hand with them, are helping them with regulation, and it's a much different environment than it is here in the US. The article goes on to say, if we are able to go to the regulator and explain that an idea is not fully baked, but show them how we are thinking about it, we can then ask if we can work hand in hand to launch it in the market. If yes, then it is a great market for us to build everything from there. So I want to pause again and say, just like Brad Garlinghouse has been telling us, he's been saying to new companies, crypto companies that want to start up, that they should start outside the US because other regulators are much more friendly, much easier to work with, much more cooperative. And there you see it right in print. The article goes on to say, over half of Ripple's MENA payment volume currently consists of cross-border payments, such as remittances from the UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia to India. Gupta explained how working in the remittance space has given Ripple a platform to work on other areas in cross-border payments. Remittance as a use case has already given us a foot in the door. Institutional engagement with banks, PSPs, and our client base, because we are an enterprise company. It makes it easier for them to have a much deeper discussion with us. We are because we are already a trusted partner in one area of business, building towards the end game, making cost per payment almost negligible. Discussing Ripple's aims, Gupta likened the future of cross-border payments to how email revolutionized sending information globally. He said, "We have a very simple and clear direction in our mind. We want cross-border payments to be exactly like email. The example I want to give is, in the past, we would have to send letters from the UK to the likes of Australia, which would take 7 days, and it would cost a lot more for postage. But then came email. You could be sitting next to someone and send them an email that they would receive almost at the exact same time. And this would be the same for someone hundreds of miles away from you." In our view, cross-border payments are moving in that way. Technically, today, we could offer a payment subscription model which would cost $29.99 and lets consumers send as many payments worldwide as they need to. What we need to do is to keep building towards that end game, where you would see the total number of payments skyrocketing, but the actual cost per payment will almost become negligible. It will be exactly like email, simply moving data from A to B. Financial inclusion is all about building a commercial model. Gupta also talked about the future of financial inclusion. He explained how, if the cost of payments successfully is reduced enough worldwide, the positive impact this could have on financial inclusion could be significant. In my mind, financial inclusion is very, very simple. It's all about building a commercial model, not not-for-profit models, because eventually those things don't work. If you want this to work at scale, it has to be a commercial model, which works both for the buyer and supplier in the localized context for the receiver. The easiest way I can explain it is using microinsurance as an example. Normally, when people buy insurance, they choose coverage for a 1-year period. But maybe there's a daily wage earner that wants to buy the insurance on a 1-day basis. And again, then the payment collection comes in, because sometimes you can sell that microinsurance to them through an electronic channel without it becoming overly costly on their end. End of article. Wow, that's a very interesting example he gives about microinsurance. And I have heard this talked about in the sense that electronic payments allow us to pay more frequently and pay in smaller pieces. You see, the reason why we have to wait every 2 weeks for a paycheck was because it took that long for payroll to calculate all of the money. But with digital currency and with digital payments, things can be done almost instantaneously. So we could actually pay almost immediately on a day's labor, or pay a payment such as microinsurance for a day of coverage. This can change commerce the way it's done and open up business to more different and unusual uses than what we use it for right now. So that's very interesting that he talked about that and that concept. I thought this was a very interesting article. It just gave me the contrast between what are the SEC and the regulators in the United States doing and how are they acting toward Ripple versus how are they acting toward them in Dubai and in the Middle East. And yesterday I talked about how Africa is expanding dramatically with Ripple and has had a lot of success with Ripple and with XRP. And that is also probably because of the regulatory environment. And so we're seeing where the expansion can really come once the regulatory environment is clear. So hopefully, and now Brad Garlinghouse said today, he sees settlement with the regulators somewhere in the next 3 to 6 months, but most likely by the end of the third quarter. So we have a little bit more to wait perhaps, but once we get clarity, and this clarity was said today by someone on stage, that maybe it might only be clarity for just Ripple, which is a very interesting idea. If it's just clarity for Ripple, then imagine how this will allow Ripple's quick expansion and further development. that would be very, very exciting to see. So we'll see how that all plays out. We'll see what the final results are with the regulators. Please excuse, I've had a frog in my throat this whole time, so please excuse my almost coughing through the whole article, but I made it. And I wanted to share this with you. I thought it was very interesting. I'm going to continue to drill down and go deep into XRP and Ripple articles to bring more understanding, more fine detail to things that are going on. If you're interested in broader financial topics, check out my podcast, Be Wealthy and Smart, which you can also find either on my YouTube channel or on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.